don't know, I'm sure a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but
not a question of if, but when there's going to be a chemical or biological attack on the American people. And what is their solution? They say, give up our rights, submit to Big Brother.
Don't get the vaccine, you can't go to the supermarket. Don't have the vaccine, you don't show it, you can't go to the ball game. Don't have the vaccine, you can't go to work. Don't have the vaccine, can't come here. No shirt, no shoes, no service.
Carla Ray, Reed Youngin. Come on, man. Fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African. Hey, them niggas trash like some ooh. Try to get back to them slave hoes. Hey, hey. Try to get back to them slave hoes. Hey, hey. Fucking slave narrative, they phony. I had this nigga named Toby and he owe me. When the plot crop and the stock drop on top, them niggas going. Sold to the bitter cotton pickers, them my niggas. I'ma come down, feed them chitlins and them gizzards. Nigga, I'm the mister, I whip you, I kill you. In the big house, go down with your sister. Send it back to you, then I send for your mother. Y'all niggas look out, I'ma work you like no other. Make you pick cotton till the sun come and touch you. Till your damn hands and feet, your foot all bust up. Look me in my eyes, I'ma backhand the buck up. Nah. Shout out to Grandma Foo. White man came, she the one that sold you. My crew swam to the show and got you. Good shit, Jesus, man, that nigga came through. Hey, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African. Hey, them niggas trash like some ooh. Tryna get back to them slave hoes. Hey, tryna get back to them slave hoes. Fuck off it, fuck Glenn, fuck Jeffries, hey. Fuck off it, fuck Ben, fuck Jeffries, hey. Fuck off it, fuck Glenn, fuck Jeffries, hey. Hey, hey. Play with this.
Who they think they better than? Ain't no comparison to the so-called black or African American. You can drop the African, keep the American. When we say Aborigine, it make they world in. I'm going in the same dirt my ancestors buried in. I come from a god and a goddess, so what that make me? Not even Basquiat can trace me. Not even Van Gogh can paint me. The MC in me is the God MC, equals the God in me. I'm focused in, let my mind be free. You too blind to see. The Jews I give is real, it's been real. These ain't shots, they missiles. All you gonna hear is the whistle. Lyrically, this an execution. My verses start revolutions for my people seeking restitution. Since the beginning, fuck evolution. Or maybe my reality is all a dream. I put it together like I was sowing seams. So it seems this is that audio dopamine. Go against the regime, we put you where nobody can hear you scream. And sing you to meet your Elohim. My nigga, this is savage mode. It's something that you can't decode. It started with a spark and I'ma let it explode. I was given the cheat codes that'll let me dump and reload and go through them waves like a fucking torpedo. You dealt the cards of life, I just cut them diamonds with the ace of spades. Y'all scatter like roaches when they facing raid, or vampires when they facing blade. I'm trying to get next to Shireen like I'm getting played. You still stuck as a mental slave. You still stuck in that mental cage. While I'm making easy money, pipping hoes in style. This my coming to age. Crowd roaring when I'm coming on stage. And when I'm done, they gonna be cheering my name. Drake Cobbs, and nah, I ain't quit my day job. I spit bars. I really rap on my day off. That's real shit. Just give you some tools you can build with. Aim high even if you still miss. Just keep going. It's a climb to the top. And I'ma keep flowing. Down Lake Shore, I'm Chicagoan. Yeah. You niggas is playing checkers, we playing chess. And nigga, this is checkmate. Dre be the big dog and you just a little bait. You out of Africa and we ain't got the same traits. I'm a God being and we ain't got the same fate. My granny died February 18th and I was born on the same date. The chosen one, the ancestors' chosen son. They gave me the golden gun. One shot, that's a hole in one. From the pyramid of the sun, the poverty point. I don't think you niggas is getting the point. We still here. Who said they made the Aboriginals disappear? Your information's lagging in the rear. All you do is teach fear. We copper-colored with woolly hair. Am I speaking clear? So fuck the nonsense. When I rap, I touch your consciousness. From within is where you get your self-confidence. Let's bring it back to dominance. Ain't no confining us. Gonna bring that wild Indian out of us. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We still here.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feel it when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air,
just that job theft, that chow mein, that pepper bull, that towel main, since sunset in the arc of Wayne, my brain moving like Tao saying, so as above, it's so below, that up and that down thing, this flow is atmospheric, I call that a ground game, see water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning, so how your God make a sun without vortexing current, see the pattern is ponic, I'm reaching out for my people, oh watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the ether, and when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing political. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sealer. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. In the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a ennui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you make it Salat. Well, I'm a Israelite. I'ma make Emet the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.
Peace and love, family. Peace and love. Give me a little bit more time. I'm coming. I hope y'all doing great this morning. I'm just going to go over a few things that I saw, and I'm excited to share it with y'all. So peace to y'all. Good freaking grand rising. Yeah.
What it look like, man?
Listen, you know what it
Real,
is.
man. I feel the same way you feel about
Word.
I just don't want
I
to
can't
rush,
tell.
man. I just want to take it one day at a time.
Me too.
That way we reach the highest point of friendship.
What's the highest point? Let me know.
Then whether you know how far to take this flight.
That's what I'm talking
Word.
about.
You don't just jump in the plane and fly and then know where you're going
Why
first.
not?
Just chill, baby. I got you.
We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you. We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Let's just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you.
See, we don't have to rush. Baby girl, be patient. Anticipation of love making. Got your legs shaking. See, every time I'm next to you, I feel your heart beat faster. But yet you try to hide behind your smile and your laughter. See, money's what I'm after, so all I do is chill. I'm out here on the grind. I'm trying to see a meal. You never seen this good life? Well, come on, let me show you. You never had a real hug? Well, come on, let me hold you. This life I lead is troublesome. You win some, you lose some. You lost one, then gain one. You want some, come get some. See, everything you want, you need, I got you. Even though you don't know me, I don't know you, baby, I got you. That's just how it supposed to be. Rather have you next to me, never in front or back of me. You look good beside me, but we take it there. It's some things you need to know. We don't have to rush, baby, we can take it slow.
We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you. We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Let's just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you.
Say you like me is what you want. I ain't about games, I'm trying to front. See something that you want, then get it. Ice cream man always deliver, never late. I come on time. Tell me, girl, what's your room size? Sitting here, watch you visualize. I can't lie, see it in your eyes. Fantasize, I mean you all day, all night. Let me strap your seatbelt on before we take these flights. Hey, you know I'm helicopter high. Baby, you know I'm on a wide, baby, we can buy. And that's just how it is. El Blizzo keep it realer than all the rest is. And don't compare me to them other dudes. I act a fool, with my tool, lock it down, just for you. You got a man, you can keep him too. I don't want him, I want you. Got a couple friends, but I got a couple too. Just let me know, girl, what you wanna do. And we can keep it on the low, long as you know, baby, just take it.
We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you. We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Let's just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you.
Say I'm
rising. Peace and love, y'all. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on some stuff that I came across. So I'm not sure how many people are hip to DC's emancipation and what that actually entailed, right? So I'm not sure how many people are aware of the fact that some form of reparations was offered in 1862 to residents of the District of Columbia. Um, where is it at? Yes. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. And be it further enacted that say commissioners shall receive in compensation for their services the sum of $2,000 each to be paid upon the filing report. That said clerk shall receive his services the sum of $200 per month. That said marshal shall receive fees as allowed by law for similar services performed by him in the circuit court of the District of Columbia. That the Secretary of the Treasury shall cause all of the reasonable expenses of said commission to be audited and allowed, and that said compensation fees and expenses shall be paid from the Treasury of the United States. And be it further enacted that for the purpose of carrying this act into effect, there is hereby appropriated out of any money in the Treasury not authorized appropriated a sum not exceeding $1 million. So these were, I'm going to go back and really go over it in depth, but they pretty much offered reparations to slave owners of the District of Columbia, basically $200 per slave. And the only way that, and then they allocated an extra $100,000. I got to find that. So then they allocated another $100,000 for, Black Americans who, on the condition that they would get this $100 will be based on them having to leave the country and go to Haiti or Liberia. So I'm trying to find an article that had it all lined out, but I'm gonna just show this quick video on it, and then I'll go back to.
Strange. The thing is, though, therapists are human beings just like you.
Peace, family. I hope y'all can hear me. My bad about that. Okay, here we go.
Not only did they free the slaves, they offered them money. Was this the first payment of slave reparations? On April 16, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed into law an act that freed all the slaves in Washington, D.C. Not only did they free the slaves, they offered them money. Was this the first payment of slave reparations back in 1862? We will look at this law and find out. April 16th is still celebrated as Emancipation Day in Washington, D.C. This was the day that all slavery ended in our nation's capital. Before we talk about this law, let's give a little background information. In 1861, most of the southern states seceded from the Union, forming the Confederate States of America. This meant that Congress was only made up of representatives from the North and a few border states that still had slavery. Therefore, we get a real look at what the northern states felt about slavery and Black people in the United States. Keep in mind that this law only applies to the District of Columbia or Washington, D.C. This law is titled An Act for the Release of Certain Persons Held to Service or Labor
That's the act he's talking about, being enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that all persons held to service or labor within the District of Columbia by reason of African descent are hereby discharged and freed of and from all claim to such labor or service, and from and after the passage of this act, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except for a crime whereof the party shall be duly convicted, shall hereafter exist in said district. I just want to know who is these persons of African descent, because they're not saying Negroes, they're not saying colored, they're not saying anything like that. So it's just making me wonder, who the fuck is these African descended people that y'all keep talking about, because it don't got no race or color. Y'all just saying somebody from Africa. Who the fuck is from Africa? See, I didn't even know that this was in this Emancipation Act. It's like, if we was originally from Africa, why wouldn't we be willing to go back there? And if they was going to pay people to go back, why did mostly everybody refuse to go back? Why didn't they go? And the only way to get them to emancipate people in the District of Columbia, the only way they were going to get paid for their emancipation is if they chose to leave this country, y'all. So that's a big deal.
in the District of Columbia. I will not read each section of this law, but I will summarize each section. If you like, you can pause the video and read each section for yourself. Section 1 basically says that everyone that is enslaved by reason of African descent in the District of Columbia is freed, except for people convicted of a crime. In other words, they are freeing all the slaves in Washington, D.C. Section 2 of this law says that any slaveholder who is loyal to the United States shall submit a list within 90 days of the slaves they own to the commissioners. This list will have the names, ages, and personal descriptions of the enslaved, the manner in which they acquired them, and any facts touching on the value of the enslaved people. Section 3 says that the President of the United States, with the advice and consent of the Senate, shall appoint 3 commissioners who reside in the District of Columbia. Any 2 of the commissioners have the power to act, shall receive the petitions, and shall investigate and determine the validity and value of the claims they are presented. The appraised value of the slaves shall not exceed $300 for each person shown on the list. The commissioners will pay the slave owner up to $300 for each slave freed. This section of the law is going to pay for each slave freed to the white slave owner. This is slave reparations. I don't think this would be very popular these days. Section 4 basically tells the commissioners when they must produce a report to Congress and how they will pay the slave owners for the freed slaves. Section 5 of this law describes when the commissioners will hold their sessions, that they will have the power to investigate and receive testimony on claims that they find suspicious, and they can hire a clerk to record their sessions. Section 6 is basically how much the commissioners are going to be paid and that they will be compensated for their expenses. Section 7 simply states they will not spend more than $1 million on this law. Section 8 of this law makes it a crime to kidnap anybody within the District of Columbia and sell them into slavery somewhere else. If you're convicted of this crime, you can serve between 5 and 20 years in prison. This part of the law was necessary because slaves were a lot more valuable if you could take them out of the district and sell them. Section 9 gives a deadline on how long the slave owners have to file their list of slaves with the commissioners, and that each claim submitted, they must pay a fee of 50 cents. Section 10 of this law basically states that the free slaves must pay the clerk 25 cents to receive papers that prove they are now free.
Can you believe that?
Section 11 of this law states how much money the free slaves are entitled to, or what kind of reparations they get for their slavery, and here's what it says. And it be further enacted that the sum of $100,000 out of any money in the treasury not otherwise appropriated is hereby appropriated to expend under the direction of the President of the United States to aid in the colonization as settlement of such free persons of African descent now residing in said district, including those to be liberated by this act as may desire to immigrate to the Republic of Haiti or Liberia or such other country beyond the limits of the United States as the President may determine, provided the expenditure for this purpose shall not exceed great to the Republic of Haiti or Liberia or such other country beyond the limits of the United States as the President may determine, provided the expenditure for this purpose shall not exceed $100 for each immigrant.
With an E.
In other words, it will pay you for being enslaved, but you will have to leave the country using this money. What this tells us is the northern states do not like slavery, but they don't want black people in their country. This is basically very racist to me. This law is something that black people can celebrate because it ends slavery in Washington, D.C., and in fact, it is still celebrated as a city holiday today. The final section of this law, Section 12, simply states that any law in the district or in Maryland that disagrees with this law is hereby repealed. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. So until next time, see ya.
Yes, young. So I bet you a lot of people didn't even know that some form of reparations was given to slave owners in the District of Columbia, and not even just slave owners in the District of Columbia. The slaves who chose that they were going to go ahead and they were going to pump to Haiti or Liberia. And it's crazy to me because I feel like, you know, why couldn't they just extradite them back the same way they brought them over? Why you couldn't extradite us back the same way you brought us over? I'm just confused. Okay. Now, all this shit. Hold up, y'all. Because this talks about slavery and emancipation. It was another one I was looking for. This is what I wanted to really read off right here. And I had another one too, because this one is not a long read, so we just gonna read it. Just so y'all can get an understanding of what I'm trying to convey here. On a visit to Washington, D.C. in 1836, the site of a slave auction held in the shadow of the Capitol convinced future Senator Henry Wilson of Massachusetts to give all that I had to the cause of emancipation. Elected to a Senate seat in 1855, Wilson became a leading voice for the abolition of slavery during the Civil War. Throughout the war years, the Senate operated according to Senator John Sherman of Ohio, like a laborist committee where bills are drawn as well as discussed. In addition to fulfilling legislative responsibilities and accomplishments, such as funding the war effort and providing for Union troops during this period, a group of elected officials known as radical Republicans demanded the abolition of slavery. Many senators believed that only the president had the power to emancipate enslaved people in the states. But as Senator Sherman explained, little doubt was felt as to the power of Congress to abolish slavery in the district. On April 3rd, 1862, the Senate passed the District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act. District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act, originally sponsored by Wilson. Harper's Weekly reported that the bill passed a vote of 29 yeas to 14 nays. The announcement of the result received with applause from the galleries. 2 days later, Senator Lafayette Foster of Connecticut proudly declared, "You may strike off the bonds of every slave in the District of Columbia today." President Lincoln signed the bill into law on April 16th, freeing enslaved people in the district and compensating owners up to $300 for each person. The Hartford Daily Courant celebrated that not a slave exists in the District of Columbia. Their shackles have fallen, never to be restored. In the months following the enactment of the law, commissioners approved more than 930 petitions, granting freedom to 2,989 former enslaved people. DCEmancipation Day has been celebrated in the district each year since 1862. Just 5 months later, in September 1862, using his powers as commander-in-chief, Lincoln announced his intention to emancipate enslaved people in states in rebellion. On January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation granted freedom to enslaved peoples residing in Confederate states not occupied by Union forces. The 13th Amendment, ratified by the states on December 6, 1865, abolished slavery within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Okay, so y'all heard that. So y'all understand how important it is to understand how they was able to pass a Compensated Emancipation Act. And maybe they knew people wouldn't leave and go back to Africa or go to Africa or whatever claim they trying to make here. Because I don't understand at all how the fuck you gonna offer emancipation or offer some type of reparations for everything that these folks went through and say, oh, well, the only way you're going to get the $100 is if you leave. Yes, peace and love. My sister, love and light to you too, baby. Ghetto Child Clinic, peace to you too. So I'm just confused as to how they was able to pull this shit off. I'm just confused. All right, let me see how long. I know this was a little lengthy when I was reading it. Okay, because this is what I really wanted to talk about. I want to get down to that nitty gritty. In the years leading up to DC emancipation, the typical slave in Washington worked in some form of domestic service, and female slaves outnumbered males. On the surface, the nature of the institution seemed relatively benign compared to the harsher forms of plantation slavery in parts of the rural South, and most blacks in the district were free. Despite appearances, all African Americans in Washington, both enslaved and free, lived in a state of constant vulnerability. Those who were enslaved feared being sold further south and separated from family and loved ones. Free blacks were required to always have on their person a copy of their certificate of freedom, and the burden of proving their status was on them. Without proof of status, free blacks could be jailed at any time. Even if they subsequently proved their status, detained blacks were still responsible for paying the cost of their stay. If they failed to prove their free status in sufficient time, they risked being sold further into slavery. Slavery remained legal in the district until April 16, 1862, when President Abraham Lincoln signed into law an act abolishing slavery in the District of Columbia. The DCEmancipation Act originally provided for immediate emancipation, compensation to loyal Unionist masters of up to $300 for each slave, and voluntary colonization of former slaves outside the United States. The act required owners claiming compensation to file schedules listing and describing each slave by July 15th, 1862. A supplementary act of July 12th, 1862 permitted the submission of schedules by slaves whose owners lived outside the District of Columbia if the slave had been employed with the owner's consent in the district anytime after April 16th, 1862. The emancipation records consist of the schedules and supporting documentation submitted as a result of these two acts. I would love to see the submitted documentation of these acts. Outside of the American Colonization Act thing, I would love to really see more supporting evidence on who actually got money for the people who were released from slavery in Washington, D.C. in 1862. Okay, let's see. They can say they got it on Ancestry. Okay, let's keep going. The records are organized generally by the last name of slave owner, Act of April 16, 1862, or by the last name of the slave, Act of July 12, 1862. Several series of records relating to slavery and emancipation in the District of Columbia have been published on microfilm and reproduced on research websites such as Ancestry.com and Footnote.com. And I'm going to look on both of those, period. So I guess related to management and dispensation. So I'm guessing whatever y'all dispersed of the Emancipation Acts of April 16th and July 12th, records of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia relating to slaves. Oh yeah, I'm about to go down there and find all of this shit. And habeas corpus case records of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia contain records relevant to broader history and social presence of slavery in the District of Columbia. Because I want to, they need to do a better job of proving what they are claiming. Oops. I think I went too far. These records relate to the Board of Commissioners that administer the DCEmancipation and document compensation petitions by slave owners pursuant to the acts of April 16th and July 12th, 1862. For the first act of April 16th, a total of 966 petitioners submitted schedules claiming and describing 3,100 slaves. Under the Supplementary Act of July 12th, another 161 individuals submitted claims, including formerly enslaved African Americans who were authorized to do so if their owners had failed to claim by the deadline of the first act. The board's records are found among the records of accounting officers of the Department of Treasury. The petition includes the names of slave owners, the names of the slaves, physical descriptions of each slave, and the monetary value for each claimed slave. The slaveholders often gave very detailed descriptions of their slaves, apparently hoping to reap a greater compensation for highly prized slaves. Eliza W. Ringgold estimated that her slave, Perry Goodwin, who was a gift from her deceased sister, was worth $1,500 and described him as portly, fine-looking dark mulatto, about 5 feet 9 inches, who was healthy, of good address, a very intelligent young man, an upholster by trade, a good rough carpenter, and very handy at any kind of work, with no infirmities or defects either, morally, mentally, or bodily. It sounded like she liked him. The hell? In the petition submitted by slaveholder Clark Mills, Philip Reed, distinguished as the slaves who crafted the Statue of Freedom for the U.S. Capitol, is also valued at $1,500 and is described as a 42-year-old man of mulatto color, short in stature, in good health, not prepossessing in appearance, but smart in mind, a good workman in a foundry, and has been employed in that capacity by the government at $1.25 per day. Emancipation papers, manumission papers, affidavits of freedom, and case papers relating to fugitive slaves, 1851 to 1863. You see, my thing about all of these papers is this. it's like they can destroy certain documents. You know what I'm saying? There's some documents people can't even find to access their family. Like, it's insane. Hold on. Like, we can't even find the proper records to properly identify our people. And now they saying some people got this money and they went on ahead and they colonized Liberia, and some people didn't get this money. But I don't understand why everybody wasn't paid for slavery, and why was it only on the condition that you go to Africa or go to Haiti? Like, I mean, I know he said that, you know, like they were just extremely racist and people, they just didn't want black people in their country, but that doesn't make sense. Because we, like, even in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to show it, Black Americans or so-called African Americans build every last infrastructure that you could think of in the District of Columbia. The White House, the Capitol building, all of those things was built by black hands and black labor. And a lot of these people were contracted out. But I don't, like, y'all, it be killing me because I'll just be so confused sometimes. Like, this shit just send you through a loop-de-loo of bullshit. Most of these people was getting hired out to do work, especially in the antebellum period. Shit. The only thing they say, Empress Summer Rain, the only thing they really be saying is African descent. They keep saying this African descent thing. So I always like to look up when people say shit. You know, because what the fuck do African descent really, really mean? Because I'm confused. If all of our people felt like they was African, why the fuck they ain't go back? They said only like 15,000 people ended up going over to colonize Liberia. Because I'm tired of it. This shit getting out of control. Oh, not on court records from clerk office. Yeah, but in the actual act, it just keeps saying, I'm like, why is they saying African descent, bruh? And like, even at this time, how was they able to trace our ancestry back to the African continent? Because it says right here, it says it is a term used to describe people whose family origins, heritage, or lineage can be traced to Africa. This includes individuals who identify as Black, African American, Afro-Caribbean, Afro-Latino, and any other ethnic and racial groups within African ancestry. African descent is an important aspect of cultural, social, and historical identity for many people around the world. Bitch, stop playing. Yeah, because they definitely got some stuff. I'm gonna get my hands since you in DC, right, cousin? Or you in Maryland? Because maybe we need to get together. Like, I want to do, you know, on a side note, sidebar, I really want to do a DMV Aborigine Indian, you know, get together. Like, I know it's places where we could go. We could do a barnyard fire, you know, some shit like that. I know it's places where we could do that at. So I really want to plan something for this summer, maybe like around August or something. If I could get everybody to participate, you know, like the Indians from the DMV, you know. I mean, I would love to have anybody who want to drive down, of course, and hang out and do things and stuff like that. But we do got to take this thing from YouTube to in person eventually. Okay. The records of the U.S. Circuit Court for the District of Columbia contain the bulk of documents relating to both free Blacks and enslaved Blacks who resided in Washington, D.C. and surrounding counties during the antebellum and Civil War eras. The circuit court records include manumission papers for Blacks who were voluntarily freed by their owners during the decade before the 1862 Act, emancipation papers for those freed as a result of the 1862 Act, affidavits or certificates of freedom, the official records of proof certifying the status of free Blacks. These files reveal information about free and enslaved individuals from a variety of backgrounds who were part of the everyday life and culture of the region. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pump in there and get real tea, because them just trying to stop this African on us is insane. Philip Meredith's emancipation petition documents that 30-year-old African American claimed to be the former slave of General Robert Lee of Virginia, late of Arlington Heights. Meredith stated that General Lee had hired him out of his estate in Virginia to work for a third party in Washington City. Meredith apparently submitted his own schedule according to the terms of the Supplementary Act of July 12. Since his owner, Robert E. Lee, had not petitioned for compensation and Meredith was hired out, working and residing in the District of Columbia at the time of emancipation, the Supplementary Act qualified him to file for freedom. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to understand what the fuck. All right, hold on. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick for two. Now, let me just finish this up and then I'm going to stop, because I do got an article in the American Colonization Act, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, the American Colonization Society, 200 years of a colonizing trip. So, yeah, I'm going to go right there in a second. And also, I wanted to go on this too, what Africa Town Hall means to the community founded by survivors of the Clotilda slave ship. Can you believe that? This shit look like a rest stop, don't it? Look at that picture. Don't that shit look like a rest stop? But anyway, let me go back right where I was. Okay. Now, it wasn't an alternative. It was more like, we just went through it. Well, it was an alternative. It was an alternative for them to get compensated. In order for them to get the money from the Compensated Emancipation Act in DC, they were to go to Liberia or Haiti. Am I saying that right, y'all? Haiti, whatever. I'm telling you, that's what they said the act is about. I know, like, I get what you're saying, Empress Summer Rain, but this is what they're saying. In order for the people in DC to get the compensation, to get any money from what happened during slavery, they would have to go to Africa or Haiti to get the $100. All the money that they allocated, the $1 million, that went to the slave owners, the so-called slave owners. But like I said, these slave owners could have been black too. It's just weird. You said it's not adding up. In 1822, the society established on the West. That's right. That's right. Yes, sir. Y'all both correct. I'm just saying, this is what they saying. And this is the problem now. And this is the shit that we got to go on to try to understand our history and what really happened. Because how the fuck? It is crazy though. They said niggas weren't rocking like that. It's not going to Africa. They literally built America. They built DC. I gotta find that fucking article I found. Y'all gotta hear Juice this too. I couldn't play it on my thing. Shout out to Juice.
With them wild Indians locked up. Say what? Hit 'em high, hit 'em low. Aboriginal flow. You pants best to lay low and get the wrath for show. Coming round here trying to tell us who we is, but these niggas don't know who the fuck they is. With that pseudo talk about we came on boats, chained on boats, fools can't even stay afloat. Debate league, where they all get choked out, smoked. Riding on them boards with the truth we spoke. Deplete they whole fleet, burnt mesquite, tear them out the frame. Every time we bang, bing bing on they brains. Got them slumped up on the panels. Fools don't stand on candles. World all in shambles and begging for handles. Sitting at the back door for hours talking about let me in. Nah, nigga. we ain't friends. It's all about the Aboriginals, wild Indians. It's all about the Aboriginals, them wild Indians. Kill a pan when I see a pan. No love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. No love for them haters when I see a man. That's what's up. Kill a pan when I see a pan. No love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. No love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. No love for them haters when I see a man. When I see a pan when I see a pan. No love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. No love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. No love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan, kill a see a pan, kill 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 a pan when I see a pan, kill 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 a pan when I see a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan when I see a pan, when I see a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan when I see a pan, when I see a pan, kill 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 a pan, when I see a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan, when I see a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan, when I see a pan, kill a pan.
Hey, shout out to Juice. Hey, that thing great. Shout out to Juice. Period. Yeah, Juice, we gonna get that set up right. All right, y'all. Hold up. Shit, it ain't gonna never add up when it come to this government. They want us to be from Africa. This is wild, y'all. Listen. And for them to not put out enough evidence on this is insane. Hold up, y'all. My motherfucking ear. All right, y'all, my bad. I'm back. I'm good. Yeah, we're gonna have to really it's crazy that they did this. All right, so let's go right here. So this article came out in 2016. The American Colonization Society, 200 years of the colonizing trick. Liberia College, founded in 1900 from the Liberia Collection of Schomburg Research and Reference Division. 200 years ago this week, dozens of the nation's most powerful men met in the Davis Hotel in Washington to plot the removal of African Americans from the United States. With the blessing of James Madison and James Monroe, the president and president-elect, they formed the American Colonization Society, an organization that was as well known in the 19th century as it is obscure today. For the next 40 years, the ACS provided the most respectable answer to a simple question: what would happen to Black people if slavery was abolished? Since the 1770s, when British and French abolitionists had begun to influence American thinking on race, benevolent whites in the United States have recognized the contradiction between slavery and all men are created equal. But they were nervous about living alongside recently freed Black people in a race-blind republic. Colonization allowed them to celebrate their anti-slavery sentiments while promoting a future in which racial equality required separation. The roots of colonization thinking can be traced back to the 1770s and follow two distinct strands. African Americans first debated the merit of a separate Black nation as a means of escaping white prejudice. In 1773, four slaves in Massachusetts petitioned the colonial legislature for a gradual emancipation plan, promising to remove themselves to Africa once freed. Immigration schemes were debated within free Black communities on the Eastern Seaboard throughout the 1780s and 1790s. In the 1810s, the Massachusetts sea captain, Paul Cuffey, visited Sierra Leone on 2 occasions, hoping to open a channel by which Black Americans might relocate to West Africa. Man, look. Because they didn't think nobody would go back and check on the validity of their claims. They just said it was debated from 17 through the 1780s and 1790s and in the 1810s. I don't get it. He visited Sierra Leone, hoping to open a channel by which Black Americans might relocate to West Africa. For Cuffy and other Black leaders, the astonishing achievement of Haitian independence in 1804 provided a powerful example of self-determination. Although this African American strain of colonization enthusiasm never enjoyed majority support among Black Americans, it continued to inspire figures as diverse as John Mercer Langston, Martin Delany, and Henry Highland Garnett through the 1850s. Right. And somehow, all while this fighting is going on, they're still scheming about how to send us back to Africa. Child, stop. They'll just throw anything in something. The other strand of colonization thinking had a murkier provenance. From the first years of the Republic, white philanthropists and reformers from the Upper South to New England built an anti-slavery movement around the idea that African Americans couldn't be permanently exiled from the promises of the Declaration of Independence. However, even if its leading lights struggled with the idea that free Blacks could live alongside white people in equality, Thomas Jefferson famously addressed this anxiety in his notes on the state of Virginia in 1785. Why not retain and incorporate the Blacks into the state and thus save the expense of supplying by importation of white settlers the vacancies they will leave? Deep-rooted prejudices entertained by the whites, 10,000 recollections by the Blacks of the injuries they have sustained, new provocations, the real distinctions which nature has made, and many other circumstances will divide us into parties and produce convulsions which will probably never end, but in the extermination of the one or the other race. America is obsessed with race. For Jefferson, the nihilistic view had a strongly racial component. He insisted that the Blacks were probably inferior to whites. Even many of his fellow slaveholders thought this conclusion too strong, arguing instead that Blacks had been degraded by slavery, in effect that they were temporarily inferior to whites and required a concerted program of uplift and education before being freed. For these white reformers, colonization provided easy relief from the moral and political challenges of integration. If a group of Black pioneers could be persuaded to leave the United States, in the words of Pennsylvania reformer John Parrish, they would create a new nation in which they could enjoy liberty and the rights of citizenship. Better still, their example would inspire other free Blacks to make the same move, and many persons of humanity who continue to hold slaves would be willing to liberate them on the condition of their so removing. It was this vision of the colonization in which the vast scheme for racial separation was presented as a socially liberal that inspired the formation of the American Colonization Society in December 1816. While some historians have suggested that ACS was merely a front for pro-slavery interests, with powerful Southern slaveholders hoping to remove free Blacks from the United States to consolidate the slave system. Its origins and trajectory always evinced a watery commitment to abolition. Two facts made this commitment supremely insidious. First, It placed the burden of ending slavery on benevolent slaveholders themselves, who would supposedly free their slaves when burdened, who would supposedly free their slaves when provided with an outlet for doing so. Second, it marked an epic endorsement of racial segregation, effectively denying the possibility of coexistence while promoting what would later be termed separate but equal. Here it is. Here it is right there. Is a member for life of the American Colonization Society. So you mean to tell me they've been on this bullshit this whole time? Yeah. King of Kampala, be quiet. This is a lesson about DC emancipation history. Be quiet. But I find it interesting, you know what I'm saying, that like after everybody was emancipated and everything was over with, like, why the fuck? That's crazy. After they built everything up, after they built the whole country, the whole society, the whole Washington, D.C., the Capitol building, the White House, twice, the monument. And then you're like, yeah, well, we'll give you some money, we'll pay you something, but you gotta go to Haiti. The fuck? It's easy to lose track of colonization in our popular narratives of the struggle over slavery. We tend to imagine Southern slaveholders and Northern crusaders quickly assembling on opposite sides of the question, with the North and South divide mapping easily on a progressive, regressive vision of race. In fact, most moderate opponents of slavery in the Northern states were sympathetic to colonization. Black removal structured the earliest attacks on slaveholding and continued to fascinate reformers like Daniel Webster, Harriet Beecher Stowe, and Abraham Lincoln. Before the sourcing of sectional relations in 1830 and 1840, colonization also supplied a bridge between mainstream anti-slavery sentiments in both North and South. The ACS opened auxiliary societies from New England through North Carolina when upper Southern legislators engaged in the question of ending slavery. Invariably, they identified a Black colony as the prerequisite for a general emancipation. Only the Deep South became a no-go zone for colonization enthusiasts, with white politicians, editors, and businessmen mobilizing their considerable power against even a feather-light anti-slavery challenge. In New England, by contrast, colonization retained a considerable appeal through the first years of the Civil War. The achievements of the Colonization Society were meager. Its colony of Liberia, founded in 1821, recruited only 10,000 migrants from the United States over the 4 decades before the Civil War. When Abraham Lincoln rebooted colonization in the 1850s as part of the Republican Party's assault on slavery, he looked to create his own giant schemes for racial separation in Central America or the Caribbean, tactically acknowledging that the Liberian experiment was inadequate to the work of racial realignment. The shield and emblem of Liberia in 1906. Look at that, y'all. But colonization matters profoundly to our understanding of race in the early republic, confirming an insight offered recently on this blog by Patrick Rail. While North and South came to disagree profoundly over slavery, their views of Black potential and especially Black citizenship were not so different. The popularity of colonization among Northern and Southern Northern and Upper Southern moderates reminds us that segregation was not an invention of the South, but a lingua franca for white Americans who recognized the wrong of slavery but could not accept the logic of its coexistence. Could not accept the logic of coexistence. So I'm guessing what they mean by that is that they were okay with slavery and stuff like that, but after slavery and shit was done, they couldn't coexist with black people in a world that's post-slavery. But it's like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? You motherfuckers just didn't want to look the people in the face that you was fucking over so bad. Cut the cap. And what of the black strand of colonization enthusiasm, which predated wild interest in black removal? One of the most remarkable aspects of the colonization society's history is the consistency with which African Americans, even those who thought seriously about black nationalism, dismissed white efforts to coax them from the United States. From its first months of existence, the ACS looked to coup black leaders to its plans for racial separation. James Fortin, the Philadelphia businessman, was briefly taken in by the society's blandishments, but a grassroots meeting of African Americans in his hometown produced a sonorous unanimity against the society's plans and officials. There was not one soul in favor of going to Africa, Fortin wrote to Paul Covey in 1817, where African Americans reserved the right to debate the questions of immigration and black nationalism. They were overwhelmingly critical of an organization managed entirely by white people and supported by slave owners. It says there was not one soul in favor of going to Africa. That shit don't say going back to Africa. That shit say going to Africa. Man, this shit is debauchery, bruh. This shit is debauchery. For real. Okay? There was not one soul in favor of going to Africa. They didn't want to go. Why they want to go somewhere they never been? Why they want to go somewhere they never been? Why? And why this don't say going back? If we so-called supposed to know that we some type of Africans, this just sound like they was trying to put that narrative on us. This sound like you just wanted us to go. You just didn't want us here. So you wanted to send us somewhere else. And that's all. And they weren't rocking. So it's crazy. David Walker, the free black activist and writer, offered perhaps the most influential intervention against the ACS in his 1829 appeal to the colored people of the world. Here is a demonstrative proof of a plan got up by a gang of slaveholders to select the free people of color from among the slaves, that our more miserable brethren may be better secured in ignorance and wretchedness, to work their farms and dig their mines, and thus go on enriching the Christians with their blood and groans. Yep. Big time. Walker's words had a profound influence on white radicals like William Lloyd Garrison, who combed the volumes of the Colonization Society's magazine for evidence of its pro-slavery tendencies. They may also have prevented historians from realizing the more unsettling truth about the ACS. Its anti-slavery tendencies, however weak, were genuine. Whatever. What defined the organization was its easy conclusion that segregation was the instrument by which slavery could be destroyed. What doomed it to failure was its belief that African Americans would consent to their own expatriation. Expatriation. Maybe they meant expedition. Not extradition. Maybe they meant extradition. If Walker's account of the society's intention was polemical, his challenge to its benevolent rhetoric has lost none of its power. America is as much our country as it is yours. Treat us like men, and there is no danger, but we all live in peace and happiness together. Yes, that was all right, y'all. Boy, be quiet. You just walked in here. You need to rewind it back because we went over all the emancipation stuff already. And that's why we're right here. I know what I'm doing. I got this. God damn it. We are talking about why the fuck why they was paying them this money. Man, that folks ain't want to go to no Africa ever in life. Because they always been here. Period. And this notion that shit's insane. And I'm talking, this is a law in the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia, the Compensated Emancipation Act, where these slave owners got paid.
Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it 1,000. Slow mo. Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it 1,000. Slow mo.
Ooh. Exactly. This was something that they just tried to throw on these. Oh, Lord. Didn't nobody tell y'all to do that. Here we go. But yeah, I thought that would just be an interesting thing to show, because I already know how they try to make it seem. Come on now, what's going on with all these pop-ups? All right, I'm just gonna try to read this article about the little young lady from Howard University. Yeah, it's acting weird. All right, I was just able to see the whole thing. All right, hang on, y'all. Give me a second.
Who they think they better than? Ain't no comparison to the so-called black or African American. You can drop the African, keep the American. When we say Aborigine and make their world in, I'm going in the same dirt my ancestors buried in. I come from a god and a goddess, so what that make me? Not even Basquiat can trace me. Not even Van Gogh can paint me. The MC in me is the God MC, equals the God in me. I'm focused in, let my mind be free. You too blind to see. The Jews I give is real, it's been real. These ain't shots, they missiles. All you gonna hear is the whistle. Lyrically, this an execution. My verses start revolutions for my people seeking restitution. Since the beginning, fuck evolution. Or maybe my reality is all a dream. I put it together like I was sewing seams. So it seems this is that audio dopamine. Go against the regime, we put you where nobody can hear you scream. And sing you to meet your Elohim. My nigga, this is savage mode. It's something that you can't decode. It started with a spark and I'ma let it explode. I was given the cheat codes that'll let me dump and reload and go through them waves like a fucking torpedo. You dealt the cards of life, I just cut them diamonds with the ace of spades. Y'all scatter like roaches when they facing raid, or vampires when they facing blade. I'm trying to get next to Shireen like I'm getting played. You still stuck as a mental slave. You still stuck in that mental cage. While I'm making easy money, pipping holes in style. This my coming to age. Crowd roaring when I'm coming on stage. And when I'm done, they gonna be cheering my name. Drake Cobbs, and nah, I ain't quit my day job. I spit bars. I really rap on my day off. That's real shit. Just give you some tools you can build with. Aim high even if you still miss. Just keep going. It's a climb to the top. And I'ma keep flowing. Down Lake Shore, I'm Chicagoan. Yeah. You niggas is playing checkers, we playing chess. And nigga, this is checkmate. Dre be the big dog and you just a little bait. You out of Africa and we ain't got the same traits. I'm a God being and we ain't got the same fate. My granny died February 18th and I was born on the same date. The chosen one, the ancestors' chosen son. They gave me the golden gun. One shot, that's a hole in one. From the pyramid of the sun, the poverty point. I don't think you niggas is getting the point. We still here. Who said they made the Aboriginals disappear? Your information's lagging in the rear. All you do is teach fear. We copper-colored with woolly hair. Am I speaking clear? So fuck the nonsense. When I rap, I touch your consciousness. From within is where you get your self-confidence. Let's bring it back to dominance. Ain't no confining us. Gonna bring that wild Indian out of us. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We still here.
Yes, peace and love. Hold up. Lord. So look, y'all, I just wanted to highlight, and I'm gonna go in depth about it a little bit more, but like my spirit was kind of up and I was kind of going forward a little bit. But if y'all want, I could show a few more things, but if not, I'll probably close out real soon. I just wanted to come on briefly and share some stuff that was on my mind, like especially knowing that, that American Colonization Act, that shit was bullshit. And if our people was against going back to Africa then, or going to Africa rather, because they didn't put it like going back. They were trying to remove us from here. Our folks was thorough in DC. Fuck you mean. Let me check this and make sure I ain't got it. I want to find something shorter.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for function.
Told the truth. There's the Smithsonian already lying. By 1860, the U.S. was no longer officially involved in the international slave trade. That same year, an illegal slave ship, Clotilda, arrived in Mobile, Alabama, carrying the last slaves to be brought to America from Africa. In 2018, the editor Deborah Plant published a forgotten book by acclaimed African-American writer Zora Neale Hurston. It told the true story of Clotilda. That's cap. It even came out that she was plagiarizing the fucking shit that the man was saying. So how the hell they gonna say that that's based on a true story? Like, what? Weird. So anyway, y'all, let me see. I think I'm gonna close out on that note. You know, we know that nobody in DC went to Africa at any point. And it's early, like, I mean, I just pulled something together real quick to kind of, you know, display, because I really wanted y'all to see how they did that shit in DC. And they celebrating this holiday like it means something to us when it really don't. So, like I said, DMV Aboriginal Indians, man, look out for some shit from me, man. I'm trying to, you know, get more followers. Please like, share, subscribe. Please, you know, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And I hope that we'll be able to get together and really, really bang out, like, you know, we can bang on some information and we can have a good time all at the same time, because this is just about continuing to enlighten us and understanding who we are in this country, and it's not an African slave, bruh. So on that note, love, light, and prosperity, and y'all be good.